It's Mike's favorite day of the week, TikTok day. John, I have selected approximately 72 TikTok videos for us to watch today. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for 5. I'll leave after 5. Like, I'll actually walk out the door.
We'll see. Right. We'll see.
Let's see it.
All right, the theme for today is tech support stories.
Oh, fuck.
What is that, a good fuck or a bad fuck?
I mean, I think it's pretty good. Okay. Yeah.
No conspiracies this week.
No conspiracy. Thank God. Oh.
I'll catch up on conspiracies again for next week.
No.
No. All right. So these first couple are just kind of to set up tech support.
Hi, thanks for taking this call. So I have issues logging in this morning.
Sorry, did you create a ticket for that?
No, I figured I can just ask.
How am I supposed to help you without a ticket?
Well, I figured since it's urgent, we can just work through it together.
There's a process in place for a reason, okay? Enter the ticket and then get back to me, all right? Bye.
All right, so how true is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so one, I mean, I used to be the person having to ask for this. And the reason is you have to show your performance, and this is how you show what you've been doing. Otherwise, if you're like playing, if you're just like whatever, your boss is going to be like, what the fuck did you do this last week? Like, what have you been up to? And then you're going to have to like go try to figure out how to show your work. This is how you show your work. This is why it's so important. And yes, it's an annoying thing, right? Like open a ticket. Now I'm the person who gets yelled at when I'm like, hey, because I like
ticket.
in my role, I work directly with the network and IT team. Like I need to like work with them every other day. And I'm like, hey, I need this. And they're like, open a ticket. I'm like, shut up. But okay, fine. Like
for me, it was always more about just like understanding the request. Because then you do something for somebody and they'd be, oh no, that's not what I needed. Right. Well, what the fuck I did what you asked me for.
Getting them, or like, oh my God, nothing is worse than getting a ticket, half a sentence.
It's broken.
It doesn't work. Yeah. What?
Nothing works. Nothing works?
What's broken? Are your lights working? Like, what are you saying?
I know. Always. So here's this is a classic. I'm sure you've seen this before.
Hello, IT.
Of course.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Classic. So that one.
Okay. Well, the button.
As cliche and frustrating as the have you turned it off and on it? Have you tried rebooting? It actually does solve the problem a lot of the time.
I forget. Someone did. I think someone quantified the percentage of solves for restarting. It was like 60% or something. Like,
it's really crazy.
Like it's actually like, yeah.
It shouldn't be. It doesn't make sense. It's annoying that it works. But it works. Really works a lot of the time.
It should be your first thing. Yeah.
It really should.
Yep.
I resisted that for so long, but now I'm really at the point like, yeah, okay, sometimes you just got to restart.
That's crazy. It used to be an IT.
Okay, well, the button on the side, is it glowing?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you need to turn it on. The button turns it on? Yeah. You do know how a button works, don't you?
Did you ever actually have to deal with that, John?
So I have dealt with like how do I put this in a nice way? Technologically illiterate. Yeah.
Unsophisticated.
Yeah. And they feel worse than you do.
Oh, they're super frustrated.
If any new aspiring IT people are watching right now, you're going to run into this person.
Yes.
And they're going to be really frustrated. They're not only frustrated that it doesn't work, they're frustrated at themselves that they don't understand what you're asking. Yep. Because the way you're probably asking is, it's just the button on the side, just hit the button.
Yep.
It is the most trivial thing on earth. To them, they feel really dumb.
Yeah.
So you have to, with IT comes compassion, empathy. This is such an important thing to know and have at the beginning of your career, because it was going to translate across your entire career. is this don't be a know-it-all dickhead to the person who's reaching out for help. Why would they want to ask you for help if you're being mean or not the kindest or like short or IT like.
I completely agree. And that actually was going to be my point for this entire video clip, because you're about to see even the other side of it. Right. I actually had this exact situation with a user, and it was exactly as you described. She was super frustrated. She was embarrassed. She couldn't figure it out. She didn't understand what the problem was. Literally, her computer wasn't turned on, and she didn't know how to turn it on. And I think I actually ended up having to go out on site.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Same thing, actually.
Which to us, it seems annoying and trivial and WTF, but it's a legitimate problem. If you don't know how to do something, you don't know how to do it.
She was the sweetest lady, and she was such a sweet lady, and she was real frustrated because I was like, I don't know what else to try with you. So I had to drive out, and I say, okay, show me how you turn it on. And she hit the monitor button.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's classic. Like, that's how it goes. Yep. That's just how it goes. All right. Yeah, go on.
No, not on clothes.
Here's the other side.
Have you tried forcing an unexpected reboot?
No, there you go. No, there you go. I just heard it come on. No, that's the music you hear when it comes on. No, that's the music you hear when it... I'm sorry, are you from the past?
See, the driver hooks a function by patching the system call table, so it's not safe to unload it unless another thread's about to jump in there and do its stuff. Yep. And you don't want to end up in the middle of invalid memory. Hello?
Oh, really? Well, why don't you come down here and make me then? Huh? What, you think I'm afraid of you? I'm not afraid of you. You can come down here anytime and I'll be waiting for you. I told her.
So the other side of it was the guy who's like speaking way over their head.
Yeah. And not even aware of it.
And not even aware of it. Yeah.
Which is another really critical skill for aspiring and up and coming IT people, is to how to dumb down something so that people understand what you're doing.
Yeah. Not dumb down. Explain it in layman's terms.
There you go. That's how actually it is put in the job description. Nice. Yeah.
But that's literally like, in my IT
non-technical people,
that has been the single most valuable skill, in my entire career. Is like you said, not getting, being patient, being compassionate, and being able to talk to people in a way that they understand.
Yep,
single most valuable thing in my been able to do. It is hard sometimes, though.
It is. Tests you.
This is a short one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was there no volume on that one?
I guess they must have removed the audio. Yeah. But so true. Dude, you hitting me up as I'm walking out the door.
5:31. Good luck.
Good luck.
See you later.
See you on Monday.
Maybe I had it turned down.
No,
I thought there was sound in it when I listened before. Oh, well. No. Yeah, that's...
sometimes.
Sorry. Oh, we already talked about the tickets. We don't need to go back to that. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
Okay, good.
I worked in tech support for a very short time, but I still got at least one cool story out of it. I worked at the help desk in my college's library, and technically we were just supposed to help people reset passwords and shit, but me and a few other people kind of knew what we were doing, so every now and then we'd break protocol and help people with actual problems. And one time this old Chinese guy came up to the desk, didn't speak much English, but he was freaking out, and he managed to get across that he lost a really important document because his computer won't boot up anymore. Pretty sure he was a student and it was like a thesis or dissertation or whatever.
Just wanted to, this one ends up being interesting because of what the problem was, and also I liked his approach to how he solved it.
Yeah, he's like, the file's on the desktop.
It is a long build up
there anymore, and I have to get this file. It's really, really important. And a lot of the time when your computer can't boot up, your files are still there. It's just like a corrupt boot sector or any number of problems, but your files are probably fine.
This has come up for me before too. I was working with somebody, a Gen Zer, who deleted shortcuts off the desktop.
Oh, classic.
And assumed that they had deleted the programs from the computer, because on a phone, that's the paradigm.
That's what you do. Right.
But with a PC that, is less intuitive.
Uninstalling is completely different than deleting. Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I got you. Leave your laptop here for a little bit.
And it was like a complete panic. Oh my God, I deleted everything.
And I from there, it works fine. So the problem is the boot sector or something. And I load up a terminal and I get into the desktop.
Now, he's not explaining this to the guy.
No.
Which is key. He's just telling us that that's what happened.
It's on here. Let's find this file. Let's
interesting.
Get it off.
Interesting to us.
Crash. I'm like, that's weird. I've never seen anything like this before. How corrupted could these files possibly be that trying to list them crashes? So I'm like, all right, ls isn't working, but let's see if we can still copy this file off. I go CP and I hit tab a couple times to list the files in the directory to get them off of there. Crash. Like, man, okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to copy everything over if I can't actually see what's on here. The guy told me it was on the desktop. So I go to the desktop, CP star, copy everything. Crash. I had no idea what to do at this point, and it was taking a while because every time it crashed, I had to start it up again and wait for the boot disk or whatever. So the guy came up to me after a while.
And any theories, John?
So this was on a laptop, right?
Yep, laptop.
Power issue? I don't know. Yeah.
He came back and he was like, what's going on? Is it working? And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep trying it, but, you know, something's going on. Something's weird.
Something's fucking.
Keeps crashing. Yeah. And he was kind of trying to say, like, oh, well, maybe just give me back my laptop and I'll see if I can, you know, take it somewhere else or whatever. You know, he was kind of frustrated.
I'm the guy also who's like, no, I'm going to fucking figure it out.
Yeah. Same.
I don't care if it takes the rest of my life. I am now committed to figuring this out.
This is it. This is my only mission now.
I was trying to tell him of like other places that he could take it to. Maybe they could like take it apart and do something. I was having kind of a hard time giving him the directions to the place because of the language barrier. And that's when it hit me. His files are probably not in English, and the file names aren't English characters. They're kanji. And the terminal was crashing because whatever bare bones terminal I was using couldn't render the characters. And I'm thinking to myself, like, does that make any sense? Could that be what's going on here? But I had to try it for him. So I'm like, all right, let me try one more thing. Just give me a little bit more time. I still can't see what any of the files are called on here, but I have to go CP star, just copy everything from the desktop over, and I have to redirect the output to null because I can't have it list any of the files that it's copying or else it's going to crash. And this dude must have had the most cluttered desktop of all time because it took forever to copy everything over to USB. And I can't see any of the output, so I don't even know if it's working or not. I just have to hope. But after what felt like forever, I took out the USB, plugged it into one of our desk machines, showed him the files, and I was like, is what you're looking for here? And it was. I've never seen more relief in a man's face.
So much about this because he seems like a nice guy. He was patient with the customer, the guy who's been provided support for. He figured out the problem, and it was an interesting story. Like, those are the best kind.
That's a fun story to think about because there's such outlier scenarios that you wouldn't ever like. How could language, right? You would think to yourself, like, how the fuck could language affect files? Like, so that was a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. It reminded me of I forgot to restart the timer, so I'm just gonna kill it. One time I was trying to figure out what was wrong on a computer, and I kept thinking it was the hard drive. So I used to use SpinRite. We did a story about Steve Gibson last week. SpinRite, great tool. I loved that tool. It saved my ass so many times, and also helped diagnose it. If a hard drive was struggling to run it, that was always like huge red flag that like this drive is on its way out. But I kept getting a different results every time, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I finally realized it was a problem with the RAM. And it was literally the only time in my career that I ever saw an actual RAM problem.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I just had a RAM problem. That I'm saying really no way. Like, I see RAM issues all the time.
Oh, do you?
It took me over a month. No, it took me over a month to figure out that it is RAM.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was just not happening. I was having a problem with one of my sticks. I didn't realize it was faulty because it wasn't really faulty. It was just like bad. Like, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
and you just never assume that that's going to be the problem, right? But sometimes it is. That's what you need experience for.
I just IT'd the shit out of something. If you're not an IT, you might not understand, but the way I saw
the captions on this don't help because I don't think it translates correctly. What I love about this guy is he's clearly like an engineer.
Yeah.
And another kind of an interesting problem.
This was absolutely insane. So basically we had a computer that lost its domain trust, and we also didn't have the lapse password for it. so we couldn't get onto the computer
password, I think was the point.
But it was a VIP's computer and had a lot of files and a lot of settings that needed to be saved. We tried so much to try to get into this damn thing because basically you couldn't rejoin it to the domain to sign in without losing the files.
Domain authentication problems. Domain authentication problems are the worst.
Nowadays it's a little bit better, but back then nightmare.
Oh my God. When I got out, it was like we were coming off of server 2003 and I think we were maybe like server 2007. A lot of my, or was that SQL 2007? I don't know. Like domain problems and domain DNS. Oh my God. Terrible.
Was still enabled. Windows Hello was still enabled. So I went, all right, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. And lo and behold, Hello for Business bypasses domain authentication, and I was able to get in as an admin. So once I was in, I created a local admin for myself, disjoined and rejoined to the domain, and now I'm able to get the files out.
Oh my God.
It shouldn't have worked, but it worked.
Wow.
That's kind of what happened with the Bitwarden thing we talked about last week, right?
Right, exactly. What do you got?
It's always that stuff that shouldn't work but does. Oh, no audio again?
No sound.
What's happening here? Oh.
Computers for new hire. We had 10 new people starting, and there's a global shortage right now.
Oh, this one.
So
I don't know how I feel about this one.
We had 9 black laptops and 1 silver laptop. So we get them all configured, and the day before we issue these computers, I kind of realized something. I look through all the names of the people who are starting, and then I look at the last one who got the silver laptop, and I kind of look over at my coworker. Hey, it would really suck if this silver laptop was going to the only person of color in this group. He ponders for a second and goes, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. Monday morning rolls around and my worst fear came true. The only person of color in the group was the only person not to get a black laptop. What are the odds? And why are they racist?
Do we care about that?
No. Step one.
I don't think so either.
Kind of makes you racist, actually, because like,
right.
What's that shit called when you're like racist by not being racist? I forget. There's a term for it.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's when you basically treat someone like a person of color differently because they're like you will tread like lighter around them, right? Yeah. I don't know. But my point is, one, so you assume someone's a person of color by their name, right? Already bad.
Right.
Like that's not good.
Although it turned out he was right. To be fair.
Okay. But no. And then
you can't skip.
And then 2, you're like you're IDing them to a piece of machinery.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
Who fucking cares? Like that was just you went through the list and you assigned laptops. Like it's not like I mean, it's not like 10 laptops have the US flag on it and 1 has the Confederate flag on it. Right? Like it's not like no, bro. It's fucking silver, right? Like who cares? I promise you that person doesn't care. And then they're like, worst nightmare. Lo and behold, my nightmare came true. And it was a person of color who got this. It was like, what the fuck? Like, who cares? Oh my God.
Confederate flag on it. That would be so funny.
No, yeah. Terrible.
That company has other problems.
Yeah.
So I work in IT, and a portion of my job is monitoring this general support mailbox that like anyone that accesses the system that like I am in charge of and the IT support team of can send an email to it with questions, concerns, access problems, errors, messages, and like I help them. So I got one this morning that says I can't access anything. That was the only thing. So I was like, you can't access what? That's not what I said to them. I asked them a very detailed thing. One of the things was, are you getting an error message when you're trying to access things? Like if so, could you send me a screenshot of it?
People do that all the time. Like, oh, nothing works. Nothing works?
We were just saying, like, come on.
Or like copy and paste the error message. Any additional information would help. I would love to help you. And I shit you not, in this year 2023, this person took their cell phone, took a picture of their computer screen, emailed it to themselves and then attached it to an email to me rather than just taking a screenshot of their screen.
Oh
and
my
also,
God.
The picture they took of their screen isn't of anything other than their desktop and their desktop icons, so I still don't know what they're trying to do, and they did all that, and I still don't know what the problem is. The mental toll this takes sometimes is...
Hi. I actually had a guy...
The real conspiracy theory...
Oh, there goes the conspiracy theories. I actually had a guy once do the same thing, but with a video. He kept telling me he had some problem. Got out his phone, recorded a video on his phone of his desktop while he did the thing, and then emailed me the video as an attachment. Which, I mean, to be fair, got the job done, but whew, that was rough. The I was as we were going through this, I thought of another story too. There was a guy who so there were two things that happened. First of all, it was a new IT client. The guy had a computer and he said, oh, this computer's been down for like 8 months. I tried to have somebody fix it. They couldn't figure it out. Now that you're doing IT support, can you take a look at it? Sure, no problem. Guy was super, super difficult to work with. And I ended up firing him as a client. But I took this computer back and I was showing him and his wife how to do the thing. And she was asking me a question and it had something to do with Internet Explorer. And so I set him up in another profile and she sits down and I said, so don't click here, click here. And I see her mouse moving and I'm saying, don't click that one, do the other one. And her mouse continues moving. Like, no, don't click there. And just in slow motion, she just like moved her mouse over, click. What the fuck is your problem? What are you doing? And
have you ever had to battle someone for their mouse? Okay, go on. So
almost. And I had my junior tech there who for like training, and he still tells that story about like, oh my God, I remember being there with you. And it was just this train wreck in slow motion. I don't know what that woman was thinking. Even her husband was like freaking out. At any rate, and I don't remember the circumstances because you could say, well, if she's not supposed to do that, why do you even have it there? Yeah. It was like some weird case. But then because I ended up firing them as a customer, the guy calls me in a week later and he's like, this doesn't work the way it did. And I said, we just tested it last week when I returned it and it did it this way. And like, yeah, but that's not what it's supposed to do. I said, what are you talking about? That like, we just went through this. That's how it worked when we looked at it last week. And he's saying, no, that's not how it worked 8 months ago when it broke. It's like, what the fuck do you want me to do about how it worked 8 months ago before I ever met you? Like, you're insane. Nightmare. So those people were no longer customers. Brutal. But that tech that I hired I hired specifically. So I created a test on a VM that he would provide phone support to my wife on this VM with an easy problem to solve, a hard problem to solve, and an impossible problem to solve. Mm-hmm. And the only things that I needed, my entire screening criteria was, how is he on the phone and can he solve the easy problem? And he did great. Hired him. Best tech I ever hired. Still in IT today, managing teams. It's amazing.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how early in my career, one of the better interviews I had was at an MSP that was set up a lab, a VM closed, and said, here's the problem. What are you going to do? Run me through it. And we were at a cafe with this person's laptop, and he directed the laptop to me. We're like sitting, sharing the screen. And he says, show me the steps you would take to solve this problem. And it was a closed VM. It doesn't matter what I did, right? Like it was a lab. So I could break it. I could fucking, no matter what, like, and that was such a good experience because he didn't care so much about like what my answer was verbally. He wanted to see what I can do.
Yeah.
and testing application like that, right? Like felt really good, where traditionally I'd seen a lot of like define DNS, like, you know, what is port 443 used for, right? Like just like fucking trivia. And I've only had those types of interviews a couple of times in my career, and it was really refreshing. So that's cool to hear that you also did that.
It worked so well, because I wanted to make sure he had some basic IT aptitude. He could solve the first problem, no problem. And I wanted to make sure that he could talk, like be comforting and compassionate and all of the other things we talked about on the phone, which he absolutely was. He did end up being able to solve the second problem. But the key then was, how do you deal with a problem that you can't solve? And the best answer is, hey, you know, I'm not sure right now. We'll figure, you know, let's schedule a follow up. Let's get it in the shop. Let's whatever. And that's exactly what he did. And I had no idea how inexperienced this guy was, but he ended up being amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
So if you're watching, you know who you are, and I love you, man. I don't know if he is or not. Probably not.
That's sweet.